You're listening to Heroes in the Moment.
What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
Today, Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania new trailer breakdown.
Shot by shot, baby.
Shot by shot.
Aye.
So, what a crazy trailer. About 2 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Initial reactions, I think the trailer was cool. I think, the vibes are awesome.
Yeah.
I think it may have revealed just a touch too much, personally.
That's definitely a problem with Marvel. Bro, I feel like it revealed the whole plot.
Yeah.
And like we were just talking about, right? They get zapped in, but it just feels like they do a little Avatar Act 2 exploring the world, and then it's the offer, and then it's a temptation, and then it's a big battle.
Right.
While it was cool to see MODOK and Kang blasting, it's like, there's just way too much in there, man.
It was
way too much.
It was a lot, and I mean they could be hiding a lot more and just showing the surface level of this movie from the trailer.
There's no way,
which is very possible.
There's no way.
But knowing the track record, it did seem to show a lot. But who knows? They may go deeper into what we thought. I mean, we already knew the whole Kang situation, that he would partner up with Kang and it'd be kind of a Mysterio situation for Spider-Man and he would betray him. We already knew that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was just obvious when coming out in the plot synopsis.
Yeah.
But it revealed a lot. But we'll go into the trailer, we'll review it shot by shot, and we'll show it. It does have some cool stuff in it, and it does get me excited to watch this movie and see it. So we'll go into it. So the movie starts off it's just showing the San Francisco lives, just kind of showing Scott Lang's life, and it's Kang talking, and he's like, "You're an interesting man." He's like, "You're an Avenger, and you're a father, and you've done all this cool stuff in your life, and you have this daughter, but you've lost a lot of time."
Yeah.
And he's using this ploy to try to convince our Ant-Man, our Scott Lang, that he needs to work with him. He needs to do something for him, so that probably inevitably to get what he needs so he can escape out of this realm.
Yeah, like he needs his technology in the suit or something. Like that has to be it.
That's definitely it.
Like it has to be his suit.
He's saying that he can give him more time because obviously he's the conqueror of time. He wants to give more time to our Ant-Man, and which is true. I mean, if we think about it, his character Scott Lang's has lost a lot of time. We think back, he was in prison for a good amount of time. Yeah, and he missed a lot of those young years with his daughter.
Don't get put in jail in the first place.
I know, but he had this craft of crime he was able to do, but. He was in prison, and then, of course, he lost time later in the quantum realm by being stuck in there for 5 years in this kind of pocket dimension in there, and he's just lost so much time. And when Kang is offering this to him, it's definitely a tempting offer for someone in a situation as his.
I know, but man gotta look past it like, yo, homie, this is a bad dude, and if you give him what he wants, even though you would get that time back, but you're indirectly killing people, man.
But in this time, he has no idea he's a bad dude. It's kind of like this whole Mysterio situation in Spider-Man Far From Home.
Has he not watched Far From Home?
I know, he needs to watch Spider-Man.
He needs to realize.
I know, he needs to realize what happened there with Mysterio, but to not realize that he is actually a bad guy and he has a very compelling argument, it would be interesting to see where it would go.
It's too good to be true.
If he's throwing something out there like, oh, nothing will be bad about it, you just get more time with your daughter, it'll be great again, and all this stuff, it can be a tempting offer. I mean, I'm assuming at this point he hasn't even talked to Janet yet, and Janet hasn't warmed him, because obviously Janet knows Kang from the way she's talking from her time in the quantum realm.
Low-key, if you think about it, if Janet just spilled all the beans about her time in there and who Kang was, this movie wouldn't happen. Right. Because they would all know who he is, would refuse everything. And they might not even be in there in the first place, man.
Right.
Spill the beans, bro.
I know, but I guess, when you get out of the realm for over, 30 years, you don't really want to talk about what you experienced.
I guess,
and it could be like a whole dream scenario. Maybe as she goes back, she remembers, and maybe when she came out, she forgot. It could be something like that.
Yeah.
But then we see a shot, of course, they get sucked into the quantum realm by Cassie's machine that she created to send a message down there to see what's kind of going on down there.
How does it even work, man? That's a weird working machine, man.
Well, they got to explain it.
I hope they do. If they don't explain how it malfunctions and pulls them in, with Kang, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, I know.
I need an explanation.
All right, but then we get our official look of Kang the Conqueror, and he looks absolutely incredible.
Great. I couldn't ask for more,
You couldn't ask for a better look. Jonathan Majors is incredible in this role. He looks great. He's He's pulling off the Riz. I mean, it's just he does look great in the role. The blue helmet, it's amazing, and he's offering him this table up, so he's obviously going to take it for now.
Yeah.
Then we get some insight into the quantum realm itself. We see some of like this like castle looking building, this kind of city. So I'm assuming this is like Kang's citadel kind of area. This is his city. This is what he controls in this realm. And then he's talking about shattering timelines and what the quantum realm is able to do. And how you can be able to control it. And then we see some crazy stuff happen, like Scott splitting into two in this world, and like a kind of a mirror pocket or something like that. I mean, it's cool to see this quantum realm because it really is a deep dive into its own little universe. Because, you have all these different sets of the MCU. You have, the space side with the Guardians of the Galaxy, with Captain Marvel and Cosmic and all this stuff. And then you have this quantum realm where it's a whole different pocket dimension and all this cool stuff. So it's kind of cool to kind of dive deep in that, because we haven't gotten that before. We got our first introduction to the quantum realm in Ant-Man 1, and all he did was, he fell in there and then he got back out. And then we learned more about it in Ant-Man Wasp when they pulled Janet out of there, and then even more in Endgame when they used it to go back in time. So it's cool to get even more expansion from it. And it's cool to think about that Kang was probably here this whole time. But it could also be possible that from when in Loki's show, when Sylvie killed He Who Remains, who was also Kang, he was talking about, different variants showing up and a lot worse than him. It is possible that when she killed him, it kind of created this Kang the Conqueror that we're seeing in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, he wasn't there prior to Janet being in the quantum realm, but now he is, and now she has memories that are kind of bestowed of her meeting him. So
all right.
That could be interesting.
One thing to add to your previous point, I am excited to see the quantum realm, but I'm worried. I know we've talked about the CGI. I think regardless, I think what fans will think of, it's when they're seeing this new world being explored, right, and it's all CGI, I think automatically the comparisons are just going to go to Avatar. Obviously, we spent, way more money and time into it. Right. And obviously, Marvel's been really bad at CGI recently. Lately, like Multiverse of Madness was not good at all. So I'm just fearful that if they try to put on this spectacle of, this quantum realm, it's not going to live up. Yeah, like, I think it'd be better to kind of play it down a little bit rather than trying to show it off. Because if you show it off, you have to do it right, or that's people going to be distracted by it.
I agree. And I do think this kind of falls under the realm of this movie, even though it's the start of Phase 5. I think it does fall into the realm of quantity as to quality. And they're just starting to make that transition after these next couple of movies. So I think it definitely falls under that, wanting to do, fast-paced CGI to get these movies out there because they want to feed us. And it has been a little bit since we've gotten MCU content, which has been a good break because we need to have a little bit of a break
it's been nice.
in order to, kind of get hyped for the next project.
Get the minds right.
I think they'll really about it after this one, but who knows? This one could be even good. They could still be touching up on the CGI. All right, next thing in the trailer, Michelle Pfeiffer's character Janet's talking about you cannot trust him. You can't do this. And then Scott's like, I don't know this guy. He might be able to help me. He's lost so much, and which is very true and unfortunate.
Maybe Kang offered her the same type of deal.
She very well could have.
Because she speaks like she's talked to him. Right. Like, you can't trust him. That's a very personal thing. That implies communication. Right.
So maybe she, Kang offered her to go back to her home, and he couldn't provide that.
Or maybe low-key, that's how it happened, or something like that.
It's true.
They can't rule something like that out.
Right? You can't.
Who says so? Maybe it worked out, and she's doomed for that choice now.
That's very possible.
That's why she dies. Bam, calling it out. That's the storyline.
That's cool. All right, and then next we see an awesome shot with a brand new character getting his first MCU introduction. First off, we see Scott, then we followed by Kang, and then followed by his daughter Cassie in her new suit, and followed by looking like Kang Sentries. And then we got our big-headed fiend, the MODOK, coming in behind him.
He looked pretty solid.
Dude, honestly, I see a lot of people dude, he looks goofy, man, online. And I'm like, dude, that's what he looks like. How is she going to explain it? That's literally what MODOK is supposed to look like. So I'm all for it.
Are you talking about, there's two different looks for MODOK, right? It's like the straight one with no face, and then it's the one with the helmet.
With the
human face, right?
Yeah, there's the one with the human face, and then there's one with the helmet, that makes him look more like a robot, which they definitely did to save some a little bit of money. But at the same time, I think he does look cool, honestly, because it's the first first time we've gotten MODOK in the MCU, and to make him comic accurate, I mean, he was gonna look goofy.
Yeah, regardless, like he's a goofy like looking character,
and he's a goofy character. I mean, that's just who he is. So I think it's cool.
Who's playing him again?
It's gonna be the same villain from the Ant-Man 1, Darren Cross.
How is that gonna work?
So it makes sense. I'm not a huge fan of this storyline, but it makes sense because of the fact that there's been certain hints towards it because, of course, he shrunk and went to the quantum realm in Ant-Man 1.
Yeah, in Ant-Man 1.
And you saw his head kind of go big. And then in Loki trailer, or not Loki trailer, but in the Loki show, when he's in the dream realm or whatever, after being pruned, there's a giant yellow jacket helmet that's been broken in it. And that kind of hinders that he could possibly be this MODOK. So I think it makes sense. You know, he's a giant head now because of the disproportion of his body going through in the quantum realm, and then he ends up maybe meeting up with Kang, and he puts him in this suit and manipulates him. But honestly, like the trailer presents itself that Kang's the main villain of this movie. Yeah, but I always thought MODOK was going to be the main villain of this movie. So that's my question. I'm wondering, like, how are they going to accomplish this? Yeah. Is Kang going to be the main villain of this movie and then also the next two Avengers movies as well?
He can't be the main villain because he would absolutely curb stomp everybody in this movie. Right. MODOK would be a lot more challenging and realistic threat. Right. But it's weird, too, because we see, scenes where Kang's, like, fighting and stuff. So it's like, what's happening, you know?
Right. Or maybe there's just something we're not seeing. Maybe this is another variant of Kang that he's not necessarily bad, but he is too. I don't know. There's just all these possibilities that are there. Yeah. That we could see. So I'm not exactly sure. All right. So again, Scott's like, he's going to give us a second chance if I just do this mission for him. So probably, they're going to land in the quantum realm. They're separated right off the bat. Scott's going to meet with Kang pretty early on. Yeah. Kang's going to give him this proposition. And he's going to go for this proposition. So him and Cassie are going to go on this mission, and then maybe later down the line they meet up with the other team. And that's where they kind of compare notes.
Yo, bad idea. Is what they want to tell them.
What you need to do. All right. Then next thing we see, of course, Ant-Man shrinking down a little bit more to go on this path, and then we see another shot. This is actually pretty decent.
Oh, so he needs Ant-Man for his suit,
probably
to get maybe to places he can't.
Yes, I think that's probable. Okay. All right. Then we see them riding what looks like a stingray, and this is Janet, Hank, and Hope's group, and they're riding a stingray, which like on water things. So that's kind of cool.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, Avatar. I'm like, he's on the water, dude. Like, what?
It didn't look too bad there. And then this next shot is what particularly kind of, kind of connected with me, because we see what looks like rings. The rings that are going together around this kind of gold energy kind of thing. Yeah. Instantly, Shang-Chi comes to mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the end credit scenes of Shang-Chi, Wong comes in and says the rings are sending a message to someone. What better reason would this be to send a message to Kang? Yeah. And they're sending this message to Kang, and maybe possibly, and then Kang wants Ant-Man to shrink these rings or do something with these rings or get him these rings or get him something to Kang, so that he could use them to bust out or something.
It has to be they're in like a top secret, secure location. Right. And because of Ant-Man's abilities, only he can get them for
And this makes perfect sense. The end credit of Shang-Chi having been sending a message to Kang. It just makes so much sense because we have to remember this is the multiverse saga is surrounded around Kang. And there's a theory out there saying that Kang may have created the Shang-Chi rings and Ms. Marvel's bangle because he's a time traveler, right? So he could go throughout time. So maybe that's how the Mandarin got it all those years ago. Yeah. And then the bangle is being passed down from generation to generation in Kamala's family. So there's that theory going on. So I think that's a pretty solid theory.
That is pretty solid.
It is. So
there's nothing stopping that.
No. Definitely not. So that's what they're saying. That's a possibility that could be Ant-Man's mission for him to get. So then we see a shot of Scott and Hope kind of nodding heads together. They're looking like something's about to happen. Somebody's about to die.
Yeah, someone's about to die.
Or maybe someone just did die. Sure. Maybe Hank died, Janet died, and they're mourning together. Yeah. Maybe, Scott's
I think it's right before they run into battle, honestly.
Think so?
I think they're heading to different places in battle, and they might not see each other again.
It could be Scott's being like, hey, I got to go do this. And she's like, no, you can't, or something like that.
I love you.
And then I love what the trailer does here. It goes, witness the beginning. And then we see a couple more shots, cool shots. And we've got Kang, we got soldiers, we got planes, and of course we got that witness at the beginning, and then we get of a new dynasty. Obviously, this is definitely allude to Avengers of the Kang Dynasty. And a lot of people have been theorizing that this movie may be the prelude in the actual beginning of Avengers of the Kang Dynasty.
Really?
And they're saying that the ending of this movie will be the beginning of Avengers Kang Dynasty.
I wonder how that would work out. Maybe with him getting the rings or something like that.
Something cool.
He finally busts out and it cuts, something like that.
Kind of cool. It's a cool concept.
Okay.
And I'm interested in that they're saying this is like the prelude. So I'd be down for that. But is it too early for that? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a start, right?
Right. We still got a while until Kang
Phase
Dynasty.
5?
But it is cool to say it's just the beginning.
Yeah, it's the
which is
beginning of a
definitely
dynasty.
obvious. So we got some blasters going on, concern on everybody's faces. Cassie going, "This is all my fault." It was.
Yeah, you don't say. You're the one that built the freaking device that pulled. Let me just get a device that instead of helping us, it pulls us in.
Yeah,
to the place we don't want to be. Yes,
I know.
it's like you idiot, bro.
And then we see this different realm, which we got a giant man, Scott Lang, and then we got smaller Scott Langs. We got a bunch of them dying.
A lot of Scott Langs.
A lot of Scott Langs.
A lot of Paul Rudd. That would normally be a blessing in today's world.
And then we got Kang apparently talking to Cassie, saying you may not want to watch this. And, Scott going, we had a deal.
Yeah, he just curb stomps Ant-Man.
He got a deal. And first off, we see a little Kang using his power on Ant-Man, obviously. Yeah. And they're having this little fight, which obviously we know.
He's holding back. He's just trying to show him, because I think at this point, he still needs Ant-Man's help. So he's not going to outright kill him. And then before we get into that part, we see MODOK in his armor with his arms going out, getting ready to fight. So that looks fire.
I think it's possible that this movie could have two storylines, one being Wasp and her story, and her villain being MODOK and fighting up against him, and then Ant-Man and his story against Kang. Okay. Yeah, I think that's going to be the two different
MODOK might be controlling the army.
Right, MODOK and the army against, we Hope and Janet and Hank. Yeah. And then Ant-Man and Cassie with Kang. Their sentries and stuff like that. I think I could see that happening.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does. And of course, we get them beating on each other. Kang is absolutely stomping Ant-Man, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I feel bad.
I do. He stomps and breaks his helmet. And a lot of people are like, okay, Scott's dead. He's done. Personally, I don't think he is.
There's no way.
I don't think he is.
There's no way he's dead.
I mean, if he dies in this movie, I'm gonna be so sad. I'm throwing it out there. I'm gonna be so sad.
We gotta check his contract.
I know we do
with Marvel.
We
That's
look
what
at
we need
that.
to do.
Honestly, I feel like Scott Lang's story has so much more to tell. I don't think it's done. I know this is his third movie and his last solo movie, probably. Yeah. But I think
kill him in Secret Wars.
Right, kill him in Secret Wars. Kill him in Kang Dynasty. Do something like that. Him and Wasp need to have a spotlight role in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, quite honestly.
because they have previous experience with Kang.
And we haven't gotten that much in the future. And a lot of people have been theorizing, okay, our Scott Lang will die in this movie, but a variant Ant-Man will go back and be the character.
We don't want a variant.
I know. We won't have the same connection.
We don't want that.
It wouldn't be the same. And I don't really personally want that. So I don't think he'll die in this movie, and he personally can't.
Yeah, so. I really think if anyone dies, it's going to be Janet.
Janet or Hank.
Or maybe both.
Or both.
They both die together.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
All right, so then we got Wasp helping Ant-Man out in some situation. Maybe it's after their fight. Maybe he escaped and she's pulling him out of the situation. Yeah. Maybe it's before. We don't really know where this timeline fits in, but we do know that Scott's like, I know I'm not going to win. I don't have to win. Yeah. We just have to lose. We both just have to lose.
So what's that alluding to?
Maybe he's trying to hold him back from getting those bangles and going to the real world.
Maybe there's a time limit on it or something.
That's very possible.
He's probably buying time is what it sounds like.
Probably is buying time. We just both have to lose. That definitely sounds like a line right before, somebody swoops in or something.
Or like something goes off.
Right. Right. Definitely does. And that pretty much concludes the trailer with Kang, of course, going full blast rage.
That was crazy.
Which was super cool. It just makes me want to see him fight Wanda, if I'm being honest, man. How cool of a fight would that be?
I know. Listen, they just got to play up his powers. I know he'll be going back on Ant-Man, but we just got to see hints of his power. That way we're legitimately afraid for the lives of our favorite characters,
Right.
I'm surprised by how good he looks. I mean, you're talking about in the comics a blue dude in a purple and green suit.
Right.
Those don't work out. And I'm like, Jonathan Majors, they can paint him blue, but the blue eyes and the blue
they made the
visor,
blue, his shield.
Yeah, his shield.
It's awesome.
It works.
It works really well.
It works well,
and he looks good. So I'm so excited. I'm definitely anticipating this movie. Like you said, though, I have worries. We both have those worries, but I really have hope, and I really want this movie to do really well. And I think possibly could, and it will anyway. If it's not that great of a movie, I do know it'll have some cool stuff to it, and it'll definitely build up.
Definitely
to
ties
more.
into the future.
Yes, it definitely does. So I'm definitely excited for it. It's kicking off Phase 5, so I'm hoping it's definitely a strong kickoff.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download. Our podcast, Here's in the Moment, is available on all major podcast platforms, so check it out. Speaking of that, if you want to check out our recent episodes, our last episode was our News 23. News 23, and we'll be having our News 24 drop on Thursday, 5 a.m. Go ahead, check that out. If you want to stay up to date with the socials, we got it. Instagram, Here's in the Moment, and a TikTok, Here's in the Moment with an extra T.
And we just want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 3000.